What's up? What's up? It's JVceo. I'm back. Before we get started, I'm going to give a shout out. Peter, Ayo, Chisom, Joseph, Zubai, and I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. These are like all my recent viewers, and they've actually gone out of their way to either leave a comment on one of my previous videos or even drop me an email, send me a message on Instagram, a message on Snapchat, and I really do appreciate that. You guys stay tuned in, and for anyone who's seeing this video for the first time, then you've come across the best channel in England. Anyways, look, today I'm going to talk through how you can stay afloat, essentially speaking, and how you could get ready for what could be a recession or what is already a recession, this whole coronavirus situation. So I'm going to give you a whole bucket of knowledge. So number one, if you're trying to build wealth right now and from this period onwards, number one, you need to create a massive pot of investment. And how do you do that? And what do I mean by creating a massive pot of investment? If you're over leveraged, whether that's your personal finance, you need to start cutting those down immediately. So I'm talking about things like, you know, unnecessary debts. I'm talking about things like car finances, all that sort of stuff. You need to start parking your money off, So when the time is right, you can actually capitalize on it. What's the point? Let's say if the property market drops, say 30%, or let's say the stock market drops another 40%. What's the point of all of that if you're not in a position to capitalize on it? So that's what I mean in terms of increasing your investment pot. How else do you do that? Get a second job, start a new business. That's how you do that. So I'll give you an example myself. So I've got a range of different businesses, right? And some of my businesses, the funds or the profits from there are simply earmarked for investment. So like, I don't pay myself a penny from that business. I don't keep a penny in the business. I keep enough money for marketing. I keep enough money for my branding and so on and so forth, and to keep the business running and to keep scaling it. And the rest of the profit, I literally park it off. And then, you know, my accountant does what he does and push that into property. You know, bring the money out of the company, push it into properties. And that's what I mean, because those that are investing now, believe it or not, they're the ones 5 years from now, I promise you, they're the ones that you'd be looking towards and thinking, oh, you know what, I wish I'd done that then, and I wish I'd done that then. But too late, you already missed the boat. On to number two, when it comes to building wealth during this period, is understanding fear and leveraging it. Look, I'm going to tell you something, right? A lot of property owners are terrified right now. They don't know where, once this whole mortgage break ends or payment holidays end, they don't know how they're gonna afford their mortgages, right? That's number one. For those that have a very small room for error in terms of their yield, like the profits they get out of the property, or in terms of their cash flow, for example, they're totally screwed, because guess what? A lot of the renters probably wouldn't be paying rent for the rest of the year. And look, I know the system. It takes a while to do your section 21s and get people out of the property. It takes a while. It could take you up to a year and a half, 2 years. If the tenant knows what they're doing, it could even take you longer before you get the tenant out of your property. So what does that mean? They're going to be desperate. They're going to try and offset their investments, you know. There's a lot of fear in the market because a lot of people, that this is probably their first time being through something similar, you know, so they don't know how to deal with it. You need to understand the fear and be able to leverage it, because guess what? Those £70,000 houses would sell for 50,000 or less. Like if you're buying properties in Nigeria, for example, that land for $1 million will probably sell for 600,000, 700,000, because guess what? The owner needs to put food on the table right now. The owner needs to put food on the table right now. And that's what I mean in terms of fear. You know, everyone is terrified. Where is my next bill coming from? And what's going to get hit? The properties. Or maybe even, like, I don't do the stock market, but even if you've done the stock market, that's the same, it's the same theory, it's the same principle. You know, people are going to be pulling their money out of the stock market, which means it's probably going to fluctuate one way or another. And you play it against each other, essentially speaking. So understand fear and leverage it. I'll give you a more simplified example. I have a friend of mine that works in a care home, right? And during the whole coronavirus stuff, you know, a lot of people weren't going to work. They were calling in sick because they were terrified, rightly so. She understood the risk, and she understood that she was very far removed from the risk. You know what she did? She signed up for more shift and negotiated a different actual pay rate during that period. She was getting 2.5 times the normal wage that she would have got outside of coronavirus. Guess why? Because obviously the business or the care home or care agency, they were very short staffed. They were desperate and they needed her. She saw the fear that other people were going through and she capitalized on it. Simple. So number 3 is kind of similar to my previous point, but tackles it from a different side. Play the long game. Forget the short game, because the economy might be messed up for the next 2 years, 3 years before it starts recovering again. Don't be worried about that. As long as, let's say, if you're doing properties, as long as you're buying right, you know what the long game is. What goes up surely comes back up. As long as you're doing your research and you're doing your due diligence, then that's it. Stop thinking very short term. Understand deferred gratification. That's how you amass wealth during this period. Because you're thinking 10 years ahead of time, 15 years ahead of time. Your mindset isn't even in a recession. Your mind has come out of the recession already. And so now you're making decisions, evenly, essentially speaking. And you're making decisions that are clear, you're making decisions that are strategic, and then you're making decisions that are beneficial. And that's how you beat this period. So if you're buying properties, don't think, oh, well, the property market is depressed or suppressed for the next 2 years. What am I going to do? No, forget about that. Try and get it even lower if you can in terms of your purchase price and hold on to your asset and play the long game. Now that leads me on to point number 4. So number 4 is investing in companies that have shown growth during this period. So I'm talking about Zoom, I'm talking about things like GoDaddy, I'm talking about Wix, I'm talking about Netflix. If you do stocks and all of that sort of stuff, if that's your forte, if that's the field of play that you love, then that's what you want to start looking at. But even if you don't do that and you're looking to start a business, you need to still study these companies and understand why they've been so successful during this period and build your business around that. So that way you create a business that not only survives coronavirus or survives a potential recession, but thrives in it. I'll give you an example. So now you could be studying Wix and GoDaddy, but there's still a lot of website novices out there. So now maybe the right move to do is to set up an all-inclusive sort of website designing and management package. Maybe that's the way to go. That's just an example. But there's so many businesses that you could start that all takes a lot of learnings from current major corporations that have proved to be successful now. So if you're, for example, a personal trainer, you need to be thinking, how can I use Zoom to grow my business? So that's what I mean in terms of investing in businesses that have shown growth and have thrived during this period. And then now on to the 5th one. This is for those of you that own a company, right? You need to deleverage your company. I spoke about this on Instagram about 3 weeks ago. For those that are not following me on Instagram, I'm not too active on my personal page, but you can follow the business page, J Snow. It should be up on the screen right now. You need to deleverage your companies. It's that simple. So if you study all the previous recessions, you would see that the only companies that made it out of recession are those that actually had money to reinvest in their company. So whilst others were scaling down in terms of branding, advertising, marketing, new product launches, they were pushing their budget up because they had the money. So when I say deleveraging, I'm meaning, if there's not enough money in your business, you need to leave money in your business. If you're a business owner and you're paying yourself all your funds at the end of the month, what do you expect your business to survive on? I have companies that I don't pay myself nothing from. I might take £100 out of that company here and there, but the company probably makes a couple thousand a week. That's because I want that business to thrive. I want the money in that business. So when it's time to use that business to elevate, it's all ready. So that's what I mean. If you want your business to thrive, you need to deleverage. And be careful with all these grants and loans and so on and so forth that the government are offering. I have a big belief that the government gives you something in one hand and takes it with the other. So that's why even when it comes to properties, I don't play with all help to buy schemes. That's just not my forte at all. I rather take the weight on my back and push further until I get to that point that I'm trying to get to. But yeah, just be very mindful of that. Because the last thing you want to do is take all that money, and when that principal loan becomes due, you're scratching your head thinking, oh, mate, I'm screwed. But yeah, that's that. And for my sixth and final point, this is common knowledge to some people, but I'm still going to put it out there. Embrace your research. Stop learning from the news. There's literally a very thin line between right and wrong. There's a very thin line between a profit and loss, between good and bad. So embrace your research. You know, spend time and find information. Knowledge is really power in this particular period. So if you're going to depend on the news, if you're going to depend on articles that pop up in your email to make business decisions, then I'm afraid you're screwed. So that's that. I hope this helps you. These are real practical steps, man. Honestly, these are real practical steps. I hope this helps you on your journey to financial freedom, because that's where we're all headed to. Pretty much, if you're watching this video, then that's probably what you're in pursuit of as well. So it's not just about making it, it's about being able to maintain and then elevate. So you make, you maintain, you elevate, and that's the journey. I'm hoping you guys go on the journey with me. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. I'm going to post a lot more content moving forward. Hopefully, maybe in the next month or so, might even go up to 2 contents a week. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next Sunday at 6 p.m.